Another day, another adventure. So the main task for today, as every day this week, is basically to get the heating done, and we did make a lot of good progress last night, but the side quest for today is to investigate the chimney because we're still having a little bit of moisture issues here, and the chimney is right behind this wall, and we're kind of wondering, we just want to go take a look at the chimney, see what the status is. Is there anything that is maybe leaking down and giving us extra water in that hallway there? So we have a tall ladder. We're gonna go look at the chimney. Whee! Turns out the trickiest part of the whole process was actually figuring out where to put the ladder in order to get up onto the roof.
So we are now on the roof, and here's the chimney. It should look like that, but we're missing the cap on this side here, and it's just a big gaping hole. For sure all the rain gets in there. I don't know if it just reaches the bottom or if it leaches in the first floor, but we have about the measurements. I don't have a tape, but it's about finger width on both direction and the brick wide. So we're gonna go shop for a chimney cap or something. And now I have to go investigate this one too, because this also doesn't have a cap. So yeah, we'll see. The roof doesn't look too bad from the top view. The last hurricane.
So we've assessed the situation, we've taken some very official measurements, and now we're gonna hop in the hardware store, go try and get some caps to keep the water out of our chimney. Yep. Whee. What you doing? I should probably clarify that the reason we are concerned about water and imminent water and water in our chimney is because we are expecting a whole heck of a lot of water here. There's supposed to be a fairly large hurricane that hits here in 2 days' time, and it is all anyone is talking about. It is all over the news. I hear people talking about it at the grocery store. All of my neighbors have come to chat with me about it. I am even getting the regular government issued updates on my phone unwillingly. They're just sending it to me. I have hurricane on the mind, and let me just say, this is gonna be my first hurricane, baby's first hurricane. I am much more of a tornado girly. I grew up in, doing tornado drills, that sort of thing I can handle, but hurricanes kind of terrify me. So large sheets of water coming in, especially considering that my house is incredibly susceptible to water at the moment, is something that makes me a little bit nervous. So yeah, we're gonna be battening down the hatches and preparing the house for gusty winds and lots of rain, and we're just gonna hope that this hurricane does significantly less damage than Fiona did, because we have been told, and I have seen the evidence literally firsthand, of the damage that our house sustained in Fiona, and that was not fun and probably not cheap to fix. So cross your fingers for us, folks. Let's hope that it doesn't hit us too bad. So I got a few comments back on the earlier videos where we were emptying out the basement from people saying that it was a shame we were throwing away all of the wood because there might be something useful in there. Fortunately, I was born with a healthy dose of common sense, and I had in fact insisted on saving anything that looked like it could be trim, and it's just been sitting here piled up perfectly, where I now need to install a baseboard heater, so this rainy day seemed like the perfect opportunity to move it out of the way. With the room clean and ready for plumbing, I went to join Phil in the hallway where he was working on removing another radiator. Since we're not sure how long these radiators are going to be standing here before we move them again, and it could be a long time, we decided to protect our wooden floors and set them on planks of scrap wood. Now, if the mere thought of lugging around what turned out to be several tons of cast iron seems like a Herculean amount of effort and you're tired just thinking of all the energy that required, well, first of all, just wait until we start emptying the basement for real of, several decades worth of various sorts of heating systems. But also, today's sponsor, Trainwell, might be just for you. Now, as you can imagine, I get a lot of viewers asking in the comments about my fitness routine, like what I do to stay in shape when I'm working here on the house, because if you've been here for a while, you'll know that my normal job requires a pretty high level of physical fitness. I literally am working with my body. And the answer to that is both that, I have a lot of experience, I have plenty of knowledge and training exercises from qualified professionals that I can fall back on. There's no gimmick or fad diet or fancy trick to it. It is literally about showing up daily, eating well, and trying to be consistent with your workouts, which is simple in theory, but also very hard to exercise. So that is where Trainwell's app comes in, because you are in contact with a personal trainer, a real live human being who will have a chat with you. They'll work with you not only to customize your workout to help you achieve whatever your own personal fitness goals are, but also to act as an accountability buddy, because let's be honest, it can be hard to work out alone. And because it is all done on your phone, you can choose to do it wherever you want. You can do it at home, you can take it to the gym if that's your thing, you can go work out in the park if it's a lovely day. It is the ultimate combination of the highly customized experience of working with a personal trainer, but with all the flexibility that modern technology allows. If you've been struggling to find a fitness routine that works for you, or to stay consistent and show up regularly for yourself to your workouts, then I genuinely think that Trainwell is an absolutely fantastic way to kickstart that process, to help you stay consistent. And if you would like to try them out, you can get a 14-day free trial with a personal trainer using my link below. So that is 2 weeks completely free to try it out, see how you feel about the experience, meet with the personal trainers, and just get a feel for if it's a service that you would genuinely use and enjoy. So thank you so much to Trainwell for sponsoring this section of the video, and now let's move on to the next segment. So, do you see that little fitting? This little fitting right here? These guys. Nobody will know how long we've been working to get them there. Pretty much all freaking day. Because while the rest of the house, we can go underneath to the basement and run everything under there. There is no basement under this part of the house. For context, if you can't tell, we're in the kitchen with the lovely bird wallpaper. And I've been wearing my mask a lot. Wow. Yeah, so there's no basement, so it's just a little crawl space, just enough for some ventilation. So there was a lot of creative problem solving that took place today. Several hours spent on this lovely fitting right there. So yeah, now we're getting ready to install the rest of the radiator, because we finally have the pipes to do it. Because apparently we'd already run out of our first roll of PEX tubing at that point. Definitely time to go to bed. Day 2 of trying to waterproof the outside of our house in preparation for the hurricane that's supposed to hit tomorrow. So we had to put a plug in the progress yesterday, because by the time we had purchased everything, it had started raining, and we decided not to go on the roof while it was raining. But today we are going to tackle both the chimney cap, which you can see Phil is working on over there, but also there is one edge on the front of the house that we discovered yesterday while it was raining, is just horrible. I'll throw a little clip in here so you can see what I'm talking about. Yeah, so we're going to try and fix that edge today after we get this chimney cap on. It is maybe not the ideal chimney cap, but it does seem to be fairly flexible. It says it can go adjustable from 6 to 12 inches. So we're going to hope that we can adjust it to fix our chimney and keep the rain out. And then we're going to work on that drip edge on the front of the house. And then with whatever time is left, we're going to try to finish the downstairs baseboards, which, fingers crossed, should be feasible because we only have 1, 2, 3. We only have 3 baseboards left, which is fantastic news. We are making progress, slowly, but surely.
Yeah, it looks like it's gonna fit. Why would they manufacture them 90 degrees? They can make it slightly under.
Also, we're opting to go for a dry fit test run down here on the ground before throwing fill 3 stories in the air to try and problem solve up high. Plan was tentatively not to use that current. I mean, I guess technically you could. It's just going to be like floating in the middle of the chimney.
No, it's okay because it's on top.
Tested to withstand winds of up to 100 kilometers per hour. 60 miles an hour. So we might have a hope that it'll stay on through this hurricane.
Yeah.
But it was far too cold and windy for going up on the main roof, so instead we stuck to the much lower front roof where we fixed the drip edge and repaired the fascia boards. Now, I had filmed a lot of footage of this, but it was all lost when my iPhone was stolen, so basically all the new boards that I'm painting are replacing some really old rotten ones that were letting water basically pour straight into the house every time it rained. The effect was amplified due to the fact that the drip edge was not hanging at the right angle and was touching the fascia boards and was really just leading all the water straight into my house. So the front edge is taken care of. We fixed the drip edge, we replaced 2 of the fascia boards, and now, you can see that I've got paint on my eyeball because I also finished painting. Now Phil is just wrapping things up on the roof, hoping to get everything watertight-ish and ready for the hurricane. And then back to baseboards. Not one to let Phil have all the fun, however, I soon found myself up on the roof as well. And you'll notice we don't have any fall protection, which I would not recommend for most people out there, and don't worry, we do have some now. It just arrived far too late for us to use before the hurricane hit, which you can see in these shots that the sky is already starting to get darker, so we were definitely up against the clock here.
Well, I mean, kind of surprisingly, actually, the mortar seems to be in, like, the whole chimney itself is in pretty good shape.
Yeah, that's proper mortar. There's a bunch of rock in it. It's not just a calcium weird thing that's in the basement. It was made with proper things.
It is.
It's really solid and flash.
Also, we had to run out to the plumbing store to get a few last supplies because we're Friday. We wanted to get everything so that we could work over the weekend because hopefully our plumber is coming on Monday to help us install stuff. But while Phil was there, he bumped into our plumber, actually, who told the people at the store, like, hey, I am his plumber, let him buy whatever he wants, I will be installing it, which also means that we happen to get the, like, trade price for the water boiler that's currently sitting in the back of my car, which means we saved at least a few $100 on that, which is kind of fun. Maybe I should go wash this paint off my eye now, eh? So we have all the outside water weather proofing stuff done, and we decided that we would take advantage of what is apparently the calm before the storm and some very lovely weather to get the last remaining soldering done outside, because apparently having leaky windows does not count as enough ventilation to properly and safely do this. So we're coming outside, finishing up the last little soldering on these baseboard units so that the next couple days while we're trapped inside during some probably nasty weather can be installing these, and we'll have plenty of stuff to do. So, solder on. Also, we have a new upgrade to our system. We just decided to take our wire brush, and put it in our drill. So now things go way faster and easier. Clean. You're getting better. How's it going? How's it going? Oh, happy doggo. With everything soldered, we could then go inside to hook them up. Our realtor got a puppy. That's fun. Our realtor just got a puppy. So on some of the rooms, we have this kind of fun piece of quarter round molding at the very bottom of the baseboard where it meets the floor, and that's causing a little bit of a problem just with the overlap of the faceplate here. So in those specific rooms, we are having to go through and trim off the very corners of this so that the edge is not poking into the PEX tubing. But thank goodness for tin snips. It seems to be working pretty well, honestly. So, oh, our spider friend is back. She's back. Amelia. So by this point, we've had a fair amount of experience installing these baseboards. So I thought I'd take a moment and kind of walk you through the process of what we're doing and the method that we found has been working pretty well. So after we have gotten the baseboards all assembled, so soldered on all the little joints and everything, the next thing that we have to do is figure out where they're going to go. Now, generally speaking, they go underneath the windows in the room. That's fairly straightforward, but what's not straightforward is trying to make sure that where we want to put them, there aren't any joists or, you know, support beams under the floor. So if we would just drill down wherever we wanted and didn't pay attention to that, there is a good chance that on several of these baseboards, we actually would have hit drilled down into a joist, and you can't do that. That's what's holding up your house. So what we've been doing is we've been going and starting off by looking at where we want to put the baseboard and marking it off the ideal position, centering it underneath the window, everything like that, marking that out, and then finding a reference point, something on the main floor that we can reference that we know goes down to the basement. Oftentimes that's actually been a pipe from an existing radiator. We've been using those a lot as reference points. Then going down into the basement and measuring off of those reference points to our ideal position that we would like to drill down. and that way we can tell if we actually have an obstacle in our way. Now, most times we've been lucky and we have been all clear, but there have been a few times where we've had to scooch things over a couple inches because where we wanted to drill was literally exactly on top of a pretty important joist. So I'll stay up here on the main floor and mark that out. Phil goes down to the basement and uses those reference points, measures everything out. If we're all in the clear, then the next step that we've been doing is basically just very carefully positioning each baseboard where it should be, marking off where exactly those holes should be, and then we can drill down through the floor, make sure that those holes are nice and clean and big enough. Then I stay up on the main floor and Phil goes down to the basement again, and I take the giant roll of PEX tubing and very carefully feed it down to him, making sure not to get any kinks in the PEX, also making sure that we don't fill the tube with dirt or insulation, because there is like sometimes some kind of obstacles in the way. There's a lot of weird stuff going down in the basement and we don't have perfect access to everything. But once that's all basically done, then we have this like length of PEX sticking up halfway on the first floor, halfway in the basement, and we both come up to the main floor and we've been then attaching all of the PEX and the plastic joints onto the baseboards that are already pre-prepared and ready to go. And that's basically it. It is often quite straightforward, but there are definitely some circumstances where it has been a bit more complicated, such as in the kitchen. The kitchen has been proving to be quite a challenge. We've been fishing those pipes in some very creative manners, and unfortunately we can't even use the current piping to help us with that fishing. It's been a process. One of them is already done. We're gonna do the second one probably later today. Not necessarily looking forward to that, but we are closing in on being quite done. We just need the short one here in the front, then the longer one in the hallway here, then the one in the other kitchen on this side, and then we have a couple more that we're also going to install in the basement for a couple different reasons. But we will have some radiators in the basement to try and keep things dry and, you know, not a moderate temperature down there. So yeah, that's where we're at right now. Everything's going pretty well, and the plumber should be here on Monday to help us hook the boiler up. Assuming that is that the hurricane that's supposed to hit us today doesn't cause so much damage that he has to do emergency runs or anything like that. So keep your fingers crossed that we'll have a boiler installed in 2 days.
That did a terrible job. We're gonna get the butt end of that hurricane. It's gonna be okay.
But that's less drama for the tube.
Yeah. Oh my god! Hurricane!
Hurricane!